Welcome back to AR Tales. My girlfriend said, "You can still support me privately, just don't appear publicly." While wiping 14 months off her feed, I replied, "Then my money goes private too. Shut down every access point." 2 days later, the first panic message came from. As you listen, think about what you would do if someone wanted your support but did not want your presence. I did not expect to learn this lesson through an Instagram feed. I'm a digital marketing specialist in Miami. I make around $95K a year and I understand social media better than most people. That matters here because the person I was dating built her whole life around it. Her name is Serafina. She's 28, a lifestyle influencer with about 47K followers. Fashion, wellness, living your best life, that kind of content. And the truth is, her best life had a real monthly cost. When we started dating, she had closer to 12K followers, and she worked part-time at a boutique. She was trying to grow her brand, and I honestly respected the effort. I helped her plan content. I paid for professional photos. I covered expenses so she could focus on building instead of stressing about rent. When her car broke down, I handled the payment for a lease that looked good for her content. When she needed salon appointments and designer pieces to keep her page looking the way sponsors liked, I told myself it was an investment in our future. Here's a hard sentence to say out loud. I became her invisible ATM, present for every bill, absent from every post. At first, I didn't mind the privacy thing. I was in a few couple selfies early on, then it shifted. I became the boyfriend taking the photos. Then I was just the hand in a shot, holding a coffee cup or the shadow in the mirror. Then I became the voice behind the camera asking, "Did you get the shot you wanted?" This was the first red flag I ignored. When someone slowly removes you from their life in public, it usually isn't an accident. About 3 weeks ago, I was scrolling through her Instagram like any supportive boyfriend would, and I noticed something that made my stomach drop. Every single photo that included me was gone. Not just the last month, not just a few, everything. 14 months of our relationship erased like I never existed. I found her in the apartment I pay for, sitting at her laptop, editing content. I tried to keep my voice calm. "Hey," I said, "I noticed you took down all our photos together." She didn't even look up. "Yeah," she said, "I'm rebranding." Couple content doesn't perform as well as independent woman content. It's better for my aesthetic and engagement. I repeated the word because I could not believe how casual she sounded. Aesthetic. She still didn't seem worried. "My followers want confident, single energy," she said. "Having a boyfriend in every post makes it harder for people to relate." The way she said it felt like I was a couch she decided didn't match the room anymore. So I asked the question that mattered. Where do I fit into this rebrand? She finally looked at me, and I saw something I had been missing for months. Not fear, not guilt, just mild irritation that I was questioning a plan she had already decided. "You don't," she said, "at least not publicly. Obviously, you're still important to me personally." Personally, privately, useful. That moment was like a light turning on. She wanted to sell single and self-made while keeping boyfriend funded behind the scenes. My existence messed up her story, so she deleted me. My money didn't ruin the story, so she kept that. I paused and I felt myself get very calm. Sometimes calm is your brain protecting you when you finally see the truth. I said, "That's interesting, because I've been thinking about my own aesthetic lately." She looked confused. "My financial aesthetic," I said. "And watching my money disappear into someone else's lifestyle without any acknowledgement is not the look I'm going for." Then I walked to my laptop and did something very simple and very final. I removed her from every shared account, credit card, and access point she had been added to over the past year. Checking account access removed. Credit card authorized user canceled. Venmo access revoked. Car payment autopay from my account stopped. I didn't call her names. I didn't shout. I didn't threaten. I just stopped paying. If she wanted to be digitally independent, she could be financially independent too. 2 days later, I got the first panic message. She was at a boutique trying to buy a $300 dress for content and her card declined. "What did you do?" she texted. "Rebranded," I replied, "for my aesthetic." A lot of people will say, "Why didn't you warn her?" But the warning had been happening for months. My face disappeared little by little. My money stayed. And I did communicate. I asked where I fit. She told me I didn't. A few days after the declined card moment, she came home with a new kind of energy. She walked in like a manager calling an employee into an office. "We need to talk about what you did," she said. "About what?" I asked, honestly curious how she would frame this. "You're financially abusing me," she said. "Cutting off someone's access to money without warning is control and manipulation." I almost laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was so calculated. When the erasing plan backfires, use victim words and hope nobody asks for context. I kept my voice steady. "That's interesting," I said. "What would you call systematically removing someone from your public life while keeping them financially tied to your private expenses?" She looked genuinely confused, like my question didn't belong in the conversation. "That's completely different," she said. "My Instagram is my business. You don't own my content." "You're right," I said. "I don't own your content, just like you don't own my money." That silence afterward was probably the most honest moment we'd had in months. Here's what I realized during that silence. Serafina truly believed she could have it both ways: public independence for her brand, private dependence for her lifestyle. To her, my role was to fund the optics, not to be part of the life. This is another red flag that matters. If someone treats your relationship like a tool for their image, you will always be second to the image. After that, the conversation wasn't even about feelings. It was about consequences. Without my accounts, her lifestyle started collapsing in real time. She couldn't afford the apartment. She couldn't make the car payment. She couldn't keep up the shopping habits that fueled her content. She couldn't do the salon visits and dinners that made her page look aspirational. And suddenly, I was supposed to feel guilty for not funding it. Our friend circle reacted in a way that taught me something too. About half of them said, couples should keep finances separate from social media. The other half asked the obvious question: if she just wanted fewer couple posts, why delete me completely? Then a photographer friend of hers, Bram, let something slip. He said she had been planning a rebrand as a newly single lifestyle influencer. When I asked her about it, she shrugged like it wasn't serious. "It's not like I was actually going to break up with you," she said. "I just wanted the content flexibility." Content flexibility, that was her phrase. In my world, words matter, strategies matter, and content flexibility was just a soft way to say, I want to pretend I'm single for attention while keeping my financial support behind the curtain. I work in digital marketing. I understand brand planning, but this wasn't brand management. It was selling a story that wasn't true and asking me to pay to keep it believable. At this point, ask yourself something. If someone is ashamed to show you, why are they comfortable spending what you earn? Then the internet did what the internet always does. It connected dots. One of Serafina's followers noticed something odd. Her content showed luxury clothes, expensive restaurants, a nice apartment, and a new car. But her Venmo history, which she kept public for transparency, showed almost no incoming money except from me. Someone screenshotted the mismatch and posted it in the Miami influencer space with a simple question. How is she affording this independent lifestyle if her payment history shows dependence on a boyfriend she erased? It didn't go worldwide viral, but it went viral enough. People started asking questions in her comments. Where does your money come from? Is this lifestyle real if someone else pays for it? Why hide the person funding it? Serafina tried to control the narrative with a story post about private relationships and public brands, but it just made people more curious. The comments got harsh. People felt misled. They thought they were following someone building a life on her own. Learning it was basically funded changed how they saw everything. And then the sponsors noticed. 3 sponsor deals got dropped when brands realized the disconnect between her self-made independent woman messaging and her real financial setup. Companies don't want their campaign next to a story that looks fake. Meanwhile, my life got quieter. I didn't realize how much stress I carried until it was gone. I used to check my accounts constantly. I used to wonder what surprise expense would show up next. I used to get texts about declined cards during work meetings. When that stopped, I could finally focus on my own life. My work performance improved. My clients noticed. I got promoted to senior specialist with a salary bump. I also stopped living paycheck to paycheck, even though I made decent money. That part still surprises me. I had gotten used to financial pressure, as if it was normal. Serafina, on the other hand, had to move back with her parents in Coral Gables because she couldn't afford Miami rent on her actual income. Her car got repossessed when the payments stopped coming from my account. Her whole lifestyle brand collapsed the moment the hidden financial foundation got removed. She tried to frame it as me being vindictive. But I wasn't attacking her. I just stopped funding a fictional story. The most telling moment came later when she asked me to help her get back on her feet. She promised she would include me in her content again. She said, "I'll post couple content again," like she was offering me a huge gift. "We can build the brand together." That's when I understood the real problem. Even now, she still saw our relationship as content. She wasn't offering love. She was offering a strategy. I said no. Not because I wanted revenge, because I finally understood what I had been doing. I had been paying for the privilege of being hidden. Over the next few months, the financial difference was real. Not spending about $3,200 a month on someone else's aesthetic meant I could save and invest. I put $9,600 into investments over 3 months. I built an emergency fund for the first time in my adult life, but the emotional change was even bigger. I didn't realize how much mental energy I spent managing someone else's relationship with money. Always calculating. Always wondering if asking a question would turn into me being accused of not supporting her dream. Living without that constant pressure felt like breathing clearly again. Somewhere in the middle of all this, I started dating again. I met someone named Maria. She works in software development and she has a healthy relationship with money and social media. When I told her the whole story, she said something that made everything simple. "Wait," she said. "She erased you from her posts while you were paying her rent. That's not a relationship. That's employment." And she was right. I had been employed as Serafina's lifestyle subsidy while she sold herself as independent. When I quit that job, the business model failed. The weird part is I'm not even angry anymore. I feel clearer. I miss who I thought she was at the beginning. I miss the version of her that talked about building something real. But now I see what she meant. She wanted someone who understood her ambitions, and I misunderstood what my role was supposed to be. I thought it was partnership. She thought it was funding with silence, and here's the final piece. Serafina wanted to be digitally single while remaining financially partnered. She wanted the aesthetic of independence while keeping the reality of dependence. Those two things can't live together for long. She chose the aesthetic and lost the support. I chose boundaries and gained peace. Lessons from this story. Lesson 1: if someone hides you on purpose but expects your support in private, you're not a partner. You're a resource. Lesson 2: it's just my brand is not a free pass to disrespect the relationship. A brand should not require erasing the person who stands beside you. Lesson 3: if your money is keeping someone afloat, you have a right to set limits. Sharing is a choice, not an obligation. Lesson 4: pay attention to gradual changes. When you go from being included to being cropped out to being deleted, that pattern is the message. Lesson 5: real independence doesn't need a hidden sponsor. And real love doesn't ask you to disappear. Now I want to ask you 2 questions. If your partner deleted you from their public life but kept using your money in private, what would you do? And where do you draw the line between privacy and being kept a secret?